Well, welcome to another episode of Redesigning Your Relationships Live. I'm your host, Geovanna White, with my co-host.
Hello, I'm Yvette Valdenegro.
And if you are watching us for the first time, welcome. If you are watching or listening for multiple, welcome back too. If you didn't listen to part 1 of 2, it's not in like chronological order, but we do advise you go back. And these episodes are a little bit explicit. We do cuss because as much as we give and we give and we give and we teach and we teach and we teach, this little mini series is literally when shit hits the fan. Part 2. Literally. So for those of you guys who don't know us, we're relationship coaches, and we love helping and guiding women with the relationship with self. And through that, we also have to be coaches to ourselves, and we go through everything that we teach. We've gone through multiple times. Every year it's different. And Yvette and I just decided to be vulnerable and share these stories with you in real time, because this is our seasons of shit hitting the fan. So
because it will. Yay.
Yeah.
And
so no slides, no education. Again, this is part 2. If you didn't listen to Yvette's story or watch Yvette's story last week, go back. Very powerful. We've had some great feedback, and I shared last week that we've been going in a great way, and we've had an amazing summer of events and speaking engagements. And a couple of weeks ago, like, someone just like asked, like, we don't know a lot about you and your story, and I'm going, oh my god, like, we share. I think every season that we've had on our podcast, or like in our 3rd season, we share a story about us, maybe 2. So we're on this is episode 79 of our 3rd season, and I don't think we've really shared that much except for the beginning. So here we are. We're going to share.
And like you said, if you didn't hear part 1, go back, and when you're part 1, you're going to hear to come to this one. But like Gio said, and I do want to say thank you so much to the people that did reach out. And obviously there was a huge concern as to what was really going on at that time. And unfortunately, it's still going on. So I want to say thank you. And like you also said, I mean, we have fun, we're goofy, we are, I think, amazing at what we do. But I do feel like, and I've done this too, with people that you feel are either experts or really good at what they do, you forget that they had to get steps to get to where they are. So as much as I think, say, I'm just love, say, someone like a Hoda Copy, right? I think she's a great host. I just like her as a person. She didn't start off on the Today Show, and she's been married, she's been engaged and not, and she's adopted kids, and she's had, like, ups and downs. But when I watch her, I kind of forget that she's a person too and grows. But more importantly, when you hear someone else's story, it connects you to them, it helps you identify, and then it's so relatable. And mainly, I think what we really just want to say, like, we 100% do the work, and it's really not work, but we make the effort. I'll put it like that. We put into action what we teach, and it is who we are. It's part of our DNA. It's not, and I think that even what you're going to share today is just another example of, like, life is real and we're real. And I don't ever want us to come, and I don't think we do ever come across as like unapproachable, or like we don't get things, because, like, hell yeah, we do. And there's so much more to share. But this was more like, if you could just take a slice of Yvette and what's going on, or a slice of Gio and be like, what's really going on? Hi, welcome to What's Really Going On. And I know that people are going to be so encouraged by just what you're just going to share today too.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to do like my story in a nutshell. Like, I have been divorced and remarried in the past 13, almost 14 years. And I have a beautiful relationship with my kid's father. We've always shared custody. It's been 50-50 for the past 13 years. And my kids are now in a season of change and transition, as am I. I have my daughter, Bailey's going into high school in like 4 weeks. And Alex will be graduating this year. So I have 2 high schoolers. I call this the pre-empty nester stage. I've already been kind of going through that season with Alex. He has a full-time job, or has a job. He did an internship. He's super involved in school. Like, he's a mini me. So for the days who know me, he is the president of drama club. He's directing a show this year. So I've kind of had this season with him the past year and a half. Like, he's an adult. He's growing up. He's going to college. He has his own schedule. And you guys know we teach on the relationship with time. We teach on the relationship of change and transitions. And so it's been how I feel. I feel like it's been great. There hasn't been a lot of challenges or forks in the road until recently. And I think, and I know that everything happens for a reason. And, mental health is real. And it's been one of those things where he's spoken to us about it within the past like 6 months to a year. And we've been working with him on what he needs. And I get into these, I don't know what you want to call it, like my emotions take over, and I'm really good at self-coaching myself. But lately, the past, I would say 6 weeks have been extremely challenging. And I think, I have to step back and reflect and really think about the things that I say and what I do. And I know it's so hard. We say it like, oh my God, don't let the emotions get tied up. Don't let all the feels. And I'm here to tell you that that's what we teach. We teach feelings. Like, feelings create actions. And I'm not going to hide those from my son. And I also think it's really, really important that he understands that I get it, right? You and I have been teenagers, but it's a different world. Like, when I was growing up, when you were growing up, when your kids were my kids' age, it's completely different. And so I try to understand, but I don't understand it all. And I try to have the conversations, and sometimes they may not be at the right time. But a lot of things have come up, like a lot. I go back to the feelings and the emotions I had when I would fight with his dad. Like, I had that come up. And, him seeing his therapist and me seeing a therapist with him, like all of these things that I am really trying to do as a mom, but also as his friend and also as his guide. It's been an emotional 6 weeks. And I think this is just the beginning. So I want to share that because not only is it happening, I think it's obviously going to happen with my daughter too. Like, she's going into high school, and I see like our time is extremely valuable, but I know it's her turn next. So it's how do I get through this, right? How do I, as a mom, as a coach, as a mentor, as a leader, get through it? And how do I pick the right things to say and do? Because that's, I think, where we give ourselves the hardest time. Like, I could have done this. I could have said this. Also, my relationship with their dad is changing. Like, these are heavier conversations to have versus like, who's picking up the kids? Who's dropping them off? Like, whose weekend is it? Now I'm having to spend more time having longer conversations, more emotional conversations, and not being scared to use my voice. Because at the end of the day, I'm no longer with their dad, but these conversations are hard. So I'm just going to pause there because there's a lot. A huge scenario, but it's real, right? And I'm sure our clients are going through it, have gone through it. They're empty nesters. Some of them are going through I call it the pre-empty nester stage. But I want to pause there because that's a lot. And it's also, we've been busy with work, right? So
yeah,
you just go, hey, Yvette, going through like a little emotional roller coaster here. I'm just going to need to pause. Like, we can't really do that. So it's like, what would I have done a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago? What I'm doing now? Is it perfect? No. No, I've been a mess. You guys have been a mess. That's okay. Because I have to be in that to understand like what the next steps are. And I can't hide it. I can't suppress it. And I'm not going to, but it hasn't been easy.
Well, really, that was a lot. I'm really glad that you shared all that because one, the reality of we are moms, we have families, we have concerns, and anybody who's a parent that would listen to this would know we're like, you just turn into a mama bear when it has to do with your children because it's like we want to protect them, nurture them, no matter what they think. We want to do all that, right? And we don't have all the answers. And that's what just sucks sometimes because it's no longer, let me just hold you and pat you on the back or give you a Band-Aid for your boo-boo, right? It's like their boo-boos and their hurts and their concerns turn into adult concerns and hurts, and you want to fix it, you want to change it, and at the same time you're going through something. Because the one thing that I think that I love about what we do is that when you're faced with the reality of like, I used to do this and now I'm doing this, or I used to react like this, but now I want to respond like this, or I used to feel these things, but now it's kind of different. You see that difference, but it also opens up the window to maybe something wasn't right before. And not to say like, oh my God, we're doing bad. No, it's more like, okay, because there's room for growth. No matter who you are, no matter what stage you are, no matter you're a 9-year-old person who's seen it all in the world and has like gone through 5 million transformations, right? That person still has room for growth. So when you see that room for growth, you either decide A, oh my God, and it wears you down because you think, how in the world did I let all that happen? Or you look at it from a different lens that goes, thank God I have the ability to change this. Thank God I have, this has transpired or shown me the growth that I've done. And even though it's hard, it's like almost like you have more fuel, ammunition, more of a burst, more of a turbo, because that's kind of like good. That's a good thing, even though sometimes it doesn't always seem like a good thing. But kids, man, it's hard. And what I heard you also say was, I think is great, is that you're listening to your voice and you're not suppressing it, because I think that we as women too, we're always wanting to make everybody happy around us and just not say things in hopes that things get better. And it's crazy how not saying things can actually sometimes make it worse,
Yeah.
because you're not being true to yourself. And again, the opportunity for growth and improvement only happens when that action is taken.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of things came up. I think the main thing is I lost my shit. I lost my shit with my son. And I could not tell you, I don't think I've ever done that. So I think that was very surprising to both of us. But then he lost it right back with me. And that's where it was like, oh my God. And I don't ever think that a parent should have the final word, because I don't think it works that way. I don't ever want my children to not express their emotions, because, I mean, I get that. And it takes me back. I get that like PTSD, because, their father isn't a very, he has emotions obviously, but he doesn't like to show them. And now that they're older, they see that and they see how that's kind of affected the way he is. There's nothing wrong with him. It's just two households and two completely different lifestyles. And those worlds are now starting to be like, come together and be like, but it's not like this with my dad's. It's not like this at my mom's. And I think for Alex, it was really hard for him. I yelled. I never yell and I never cry. And it was bad. And should we have stopped? Yeah, we should have. But we on our emotions, and we were both trying to make each other understand how we were feeling. No one was right. No one was wrong. I mean, that's one of those things you agree to disagree. But now it's kind of like this little cloud that's like over us when we're together, because we don't see the therapist until next week. But I also told them, like, I don't want you to wait till next week. If you want to talk about something, let's ask each other first. And that's where we made the mistake. He still wanted to have a conversation after it, and I wasn't ready. And because he pushed and he pushed, I just broke. And my daughter's here. Their stepdad is here. My husband's here. It's like it is a trip, like that ripple effect. Like we talk about that. Like this is where we're like self. Like I should have just said, I'm not ready to talk. And we should have just ended that conversation. And instead it just kind of like the whole mood went with, it was Sunday. It was like, Bailey and Chris, like everyone else kind of suffers from that. And it's not fair to them. But honestly, it's just not fair to me or him. So it's like, it's still fresh, and there's so much going on, and it's a bigger picture, right? It's like his senior year. He's about to go back to school. He's got all these responsibilities. We got to start doing college applications. It's the season of change. It's a season of change that no, he doesn't know how to navigate. I don't know how to navigate. It's my first one, and then also navigating like how he's getting responses and having the conversations with his dad. So it's a lot for a 17-year-old. And so for me, it is a learning experience, and it's also just patience. And not being so hard on myself. Like, what's today? Wednesday? Monday, I was like, I gotta like give myself a break and be graceful, because how am I supposed to know? Like, we have to go through this. This is part of the journey. And so it's just difficult because, we're all in it together. This is like a group of five, of family of five in two different households. So yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you guys are going to go see a counselor. I think that is such an underutilized resource, to just have someone outside the family be able to just listen and help navigate conversation, because there is a difference when there's someone there. You're going to say something different, he's going to say something different, and then you have the professional who can kind of just bridge that gap that, obviously
Yeah,
is
and
needed.
his therapist has known him for over like a year now. Like, it'll be a year this August, and so that's the great thing. It's his therapist, but anytime mom and dad need to get involved or need to be on a session, we're there. And I love that. I love that we have that. But then it's like this weird in between time, right? And at the end of the day, it's time, and it's very valuable. So I don't want him to again tiptoe around me, and I don't want to have to tiptoe around him. And just gotta have a follow up conversation on like, this isn't going to be the last, but hopefully we manage it a little bit differently next time. We kind of learn. I don't think he liked seeing me that way, and I definitely didn't like to see him like that. And again, the ripple effect. Like, this isn't just about us; it's about everybody else that's around us. And with the season of change and transition, it's also in a weird way just kind of nice to have a conversation with their dad that I didn't think I would have. That's just like a whole nother like side of it. Then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this is kind of like crucial time for both of our teenagers, and how are we gonna try to have it, I would say, equal or the same in both households. But we know we've always been on the same page. There's a couple of things that we haven't seen eye to eye, but I think when it comes to his mental health and his emotion, and having his last year not be overwhelming and stressful. I mean, that's the goal. Like, what's the goal here? Like, nobody wants to have his last year be that way. And I remember high school, and I like enjoyed it. I hear my daughter doesn't want to go. She's like, she's dreading it. And Alex is like, oh my God, junior year was hell for him. And I'm like, I want you to have a really good last year. I want you to feel like, and it is, it's like, I'm an adult. This is my last year of like being a teenager, but technically I'm gonna so many rules and responsibilities and societal like this. I'm like, stop. Like, that's where like guiding him and mentoring him, like, you can still make the choices that you want to make. You don't have to be on this timeline. Like, here we go back to like deadlines and applications and going to see colleges. And I'm like, just breathe. Like, you've been going to school for 12 years. You can have a break if you need to. But it's just like constant, motion and time. And I'm like, stop. Like, it's going to be okay. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, this is good. It also goes into, I was just thinking, it's the moment. It's like in the moment living it. Sometimes it's intense and you work with it, deal with it. Other times it's blissful and amazing, but it is the intention of you're in it, but taking care of it, getting the counselor or therapist, whatever you guys are going to do, talking it through, because you're dealing with it now, which I hope is the message to anybody listening, that life isn't perfect, and what you see on Instagram or social media or the world, that's not always it. That reality happens in behind closed doors, and everybody's home are imperfect families, because we're imperfect people. And that goes for everybody. So the whole comparison thing of, well, they have 10 kids, they have 20 kids. Well, okay. Their kids are this, da, da, da. Okay. They're not your kid. It shouldn't be a comparison. It should just be in the moment to take care. And I'm saying that I wish someone would have helped me with that a long time ago with Yvette. Be here now.
Yep.
Because I wasn't. I 100% wasn't. And I missed a lot of things. And I wish but it doesn't matter, because I can be in the moment. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. What I've learned is now being in the moment now, the best that I can. And that's all we can ask of one another.
Yeah, I feel like my episode was like all the transitions. Like, we're in a season in business where we're transitioning, and it's definitely been an abundance season for us. We've been busy in a great way. But then it's like a season of like change with their relationship with their dad, a season of change with the relationship with both of my teenagers, a season of like pre-empty nesting for me, you know, college for my, it's like, so it's so many stacked that's where I go back, and it's like the balance. Like that's what it's the one thing that I told him. I'm here to help you with balance. I'm not here to tell you what to do, what timelines are. I'm like, I need you to understand balance because I see so much of him, of me and him, that he doesn't know how to just be when there's nothing on the calendar. And we've been talking about calendar integrity and scheduling, and it's crazy that like I'm telling him exactly what I tell myself. Like we stop, pause, take time off, understand what balance is. And I think that he's like, but you don't do that. And sometimes I'm like, no, I mean, I've learned to do that now. But, you know, 2 years ago, no. I would say the past year, year and a half, 100%. But when I am off, it's hard. And I saw that last past weekend. I'm like, you have been going for 4 weeks and you just want to, it's like that pocket of time you have, you just want to fill it. And it's not because I don't want you to go do something. It's because I just want you to chill. And I don't think I think we're at that breaking point of like, he doesn't know what that is because he's just constantly going. So it's what I'm trying to teach him versus what he thinks what I'm trying to tell him. That's really what's happening. Like, I'm not saying, no, you can't go do this. I'm trying to have you understand that you need like a mental, physical, and emotional break. Like, do nothing. Whatever nothing is, reading, watching TV, but like, do nothing. And I think that was really hard for him because he felt like I was telling him, like, you can't do anything. So, but that's the reality of what I'm going through. So, when you see me, and this is real. When you see Yvette, this is real. Shit happens to us too. And
it happens.
Yeah, we can't, we are going to be better at teaching, or I say we were better at sharing and being more vulnerable, because like we talk about it all the time, but then we're like, why aren't we talking about it with our viewers and our listeners? And it's hard. Like, this conversation wasn't easy for me to have. Just like yours was definitely not easy to have, but if we help one person, we help one person, you know? And I think we're people. We're not always on, like we're on, but we're on for real. Like, this is our life. And I don't ever want anyone to feel, and I don't think, like you said, I don't think we've ever had that, because we're very real and raw on what we do. But it was very eye-opening for, a few people to say, hey, like, we don't really know about you. Every time we're together, like, how did y'all meet? Like, we don't share enough. And I think we do it because we're like, oh, nobody wants to hear about us. We want to serve you and give to you. And like, that's what what we love to do. Our passion is giving back. But that's where we need to go back and just say, hey, like, we need to pause and stop and just say, hey, this is us. Like, let's talk about what's happening. Because that could be a teaching moment too that we don't even know about.
For sure. All right, Gio, thank you. I'm so glad. I'm glad I've really enjoyed the feedback. I know you're going to get great feedback too, and encouragement, and for all the moms. Gosh, school's starting up again.
Yeah.
That time of year where it's just like the unsettled, everything really, like you said, transitions happen. We cannot change them. We're not gonna be able to stop them. We cannot control them. So we might as well embrace and do the best we can in them.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah. if you listened or watch or on the replay and you're like, yeah, either one of our stories or both of our stories, we're here for you. Schedule a complimentary virtual connect. Sometimes like this is kind of like hearing it and seeing it, and just, God, I feel like even though I'm sharing it with the world, it feels okay. And I feel a little bit better now. So I hope that you guys can reach out to us, message us wherever you're watching or listening. We're available here for you. And we're on live every Wednesday. And that episode drops anywhere you listen to podcasts on Fridays. We'll see you next week.
Bye.